All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of Asia's oldest stock exchanges, the Bombay Stock Exchange, or BSE, which has just had an absolutely incredible year. We're going to unpack how an institution that's almost 150 years old managed to pull off such a record-breaking performance. And trust me, it all kicks off with some truly mind-boggling numbers. First off, just look at this jump. In fiscal year 24, BSE's revenue was about 1,600 crore rupees. A year later, it skyrocketed to over 3,200 crore. I mean, it didn't just grow, it more than doubled. For an organization this big and this old, that kind of leap just doesn't happen. So, you have to ask yourself, how on earth did they do it? How does a financial giant, an institution that's been a fixture since 1875, suddenly kick into a higher gear and find this kind of explosive growth? Well, the answer is this really fascinating mix of smart strategy and just perfect time.
To really get it, we've got to look under the hood at their new engines of growth. And what you find is that this massive jump wasn't from everything all at once. Nope, it was driven by some seriously spectacular performance in a few key spots, including one huge strategic bet that really paid off.
And here it is. This is the turning point. Back in May of 2023, BSE decided to relaunch its equity derivatives business. Now, you got to understand, this wasn't just some minor product update. No, this was a total strategic shift. And that one move, made right at the start of the financial year, is what lit the fuse for everything that came next. And the speed of this change is just unbelievable. In the first quarter of 24, this whole segment brought in about 16 lakh rupees. Peanuts, really. Fast forward a little over a year, and that same quarterly number is a mind-blowing 475 crore rupees. Seriously. That's not just growth, that's a supernova.
So, to put it simply, this whole equity derivatives relaunch, it wasn't just a hit product. It completely changed the company's DNA, you know? It created this brand new, super powerful engine that just pushed the whole thing forward at incredible speed.
But they weren't a one-trick pony. While all that explosive stuff was happening, BSE's well-known Star mutual fund platform was also quietly having a fantastic year. Its revenue jumped from around 128 crore to over 230 crore. So, what this tells us is that another, really stable engine was also firing on all cylinders. And all of this, it's happening as part of a much bigger picture. Just think about this number. The BSE has more than 214 million registered investors. I mean, that is a huge number, and it points to something massive happening across India.
So, at the end of the day, BSE's amazing year isn't just about one company's success. It's really a reflection of a massive shift happening all across India, with more and more people putting their money into the financial markets and really becoming a part of the country's growth story.
Okay, so you don't get this kind of success by accident. It has to be built on something solid. And to really get why BSE is so resilient, we need to peek behind the curtain and see how they actually make their money. It's not just about one or two things, it's about a whole diversified business. Think of it like a giant financial supermarket. You've got your main aisles, right? The trading and clearing. That's a given. But then you've also got a massive distribution arm for things like mutual funds and IPOs. It provides all sorts of services to corporations, and it even sells data. All these different streams make it really strong. So if we zoom in on the last quarter of that record year, you can see exactly where the cash came from. And yeah, no surprise, transaction charges, totally supercharged by that derivatives business, make up a whopping 72%. But look, that other 15% from services to corporates, that's still a big, steady chunk of change. And it just shows you how strong the whole business is.
Right, but a year like this doesn't just happen overnight. It's really just the latest chapter in a super long story of constant change and innovation. To really get what BSE is today, you have to look at their whole journey, all 150 years of it. This timeline really says it all. It started way back in 1875, but just look at the last decade or so. In 2012, they launched the platforms that are so key today. Then, in 2017, they become the first exchange in India to go public. And then, bam, 2023, the derivatives relaunch that changed everything. You can see this clear pattern, right?
They are always evolving.
And if you need one fact to blow your mind and really show this transformation, it's this. I mean, just think about that for a second. An institution born in the 1800s became the world's fastest stock exchange in 2016. 6 microseconds per trade. That's the perfect blend of old-school history and brand-new cutting-edge tech.
Okay, so after a year like that, the million-dollar question, or I guess billion-dollar question, is what's next? How do you follow that up? How do you keep that incredible momentum going? Well, it turns out they have a pretty clear plan. Basically, their game plan moving forward is pretty straightforward. They're going to fight for more market share in every single area. They're going to keep pushing on innovation, launching new and unique products. They're also looking to expand their digital stuff, for IPOs and bonds. And they're going to lean heavily on that huge network they have all over the country. The goal is pretty simple. Build on every single thing that makes them strong.
And all of that leaves us with one last big, fascinating question. Look, BSE has proved it can go from this historic old-school institution to a modern tech powerhouse. But now, with millions of brand-new investors jumping into the market, can it keep innovating fast enough to win them over, to win that next generation? That's the real story to watch now. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.